My name's Paul Bestall, and you're listening to Mysteries and Monsters. The world is a possibility, if you'll only try. Welcome to episode 6 of the Mysteries and Monsters podcast, and this week we delve into the world of cryptozoology and one of my favourite cryptids, the Yowie, with Australia's Yowie Dan. I first became aware of Australia's hominid through the cult 1990 show Sightings, which featured an interview with Dean Harrison discussing his quest to find the Yowie. Over 20 years later, we've had a plethora of sightings, sounds and tracks recorded, mostly from the southeast of Australia, and the search has continued to grow. The Yowie shares a lot of similarities with that of Bigfoot. Both were mentioned frequently in the indigenous population's oral history and paintings going back hundreds of years. Don't forget to join us on the Mysteries and Monsters Facebook group. We're on Twitter and Instagram, and the YouTube channel has gone live. The podcast is also available on all platforms now, and please sign up for the Patreon to continue to support us. Now, it's time for this week's interview. Right, my guest this week is a Yowie tracker from Australia. Really excited about this subject. It's one that's very close to my heart. I'm a big fan of the Yowie. I've followed the reports for 20 years when the case first came to my attention. So I'm delighted to be joined by Yowie Dan. Hi there.
There you go, Paul. It's great to be here tonight and to talk about the Australian Yowie.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this because it's a big favourite of mine. So, firstly, what got you into it? How did you end up becoming an obsessive with the Yowie?
Well, my interest in cryptids like Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, Yowies, any kind of cryptid, I've always had that interest. It's always intrigued me. But my first, the reason why I got into researching, some people like the interest, they like to be, they want to learn more about cryptids, but my one was, like most people, I had an encounter. And it was actually at a weird place and a weird time for me. I used to train and race greyhounds.
Yep.
And it was at a place called Appin, which is about 70 kilometres southwest of Sydney. Anyway, it was about a 45-minute drive for me. So, and it is a bit of a bushy area. And it's been that after I had my encounter there, I learned that there were sightings there. There's a history of sightings in that area. So anyway, I've gone to the track to trial my greyhound. And one thing people have to remember about greyhounds is when the lure goes for the bunny, their whole life is just concentrating on that noise and the lure. But my greyhound, where it was, we were in a straight track. It's not a circle track. It goes up a hill. So you use this track to kind of get greyhounds that are injured so they won't hurt themselves, or you teach young dogs how to run fast and not trip over. So I had the 5th trial ticket. You get tickets so no one has any arguments who's first or second. Yeah. And I was right down the bottom. So this is like a 366 metre track. So I'm down the bottom at them boxes, and all the rest of the other people, they're at the 270 metre boxes. So you nearly got 100 metres gap between me and anyone else. Yeah. It was like a July, which is winter time here in Australia, 7:30 in the morning, and it's really cold. It's maybe 8 degrees in the morning. It was foggy. Anyway, so I'm down there with my dog. She was really quiet. She never barked. I've never heard her bark before this. So I had her down there by myself. I'm sitting there waiting for my trial, and it's a bit of a slow process between each trials. They've got to drag the lure up and down the track manually, and it's like probably 5 minutes between each trial. So I'm the fifth one. So I'm waiting down there for a good half an hour. Yeah. So I'm just walking her around, keeping her warm, just, looking around. Anyway, while the two trials before mine starts, while the trial was happening, she turns around to the bush, and it's all thick tea trees, little shrub bushes that are really thick. You could only see in about a metre and a half into this bush. And there's nothing behind there. It was just solid bush. But now there's like a paintball, where people shoot paintballs at each other kind of range. Yeah. And other than that, there's probably about another 500 or 600 metres down is a motorbike track which has been there for a long time. But if you walk through this bush and followed the bush line, you'd end up going to where the Blue Mountains is, and you wouldn't be seen. I've seen it on the map. So you look up Google Earth, you can see where Appin is, and you can see like a line where something can walk through all the bush, through farms, and you can get straight to the Blue Mountains, and you wouldn't be seen. So we're down there. The dog turns around. Her hair stands up like she's been electrified, and she is just barking like she's protecting me and scared at the same time. And she's not worried about the lure noise. She's just barking frantically, really aggressive and scared. And I'm going, Sally, because that was her name. I'm, Sally, what's wrong? And she's looking up at me, kind of shaking her tail, looking up at me like, there's something there. And I'm like, what are you barking at? Anyway, I thought there might be a dog in there or something, and she just got a smell of it, and she was a bit, aware something was there, but couldn't see it. Yeah. Probably she was barking and upset for maybe 10, 15 seconds, and then there was this almighty raw howl, like a big roar. It wasn't a dog, wasn't a panther, it wasn't a person with a microphone. It was nothing that I'd ever heard before. It come from something that had a chest size about the size of like Andre the Giant. Yeah. And I stood next to him because they come here, the wrestlers, when I was 13. Yeah. And they wrestled here in a stadium here. And he walked past me, and he just looked like a man mountain walking past. So I know that's the size of a chest size. It had to have something that could expel a lot of like air out of its chest to make this roar. I can't get anywhere near the sound and how loud it was. And I'm there looking like, what the hell is this? Couldn't see it. All I could hear was a noise. And then all of a sudden there's a gum tree that was probably about 10 to 12, maybe 13 metres high. And its tree trunk was about as round as a basketball. Yeah. And these are solid trees. Their roots go into the ground, and they're big solid roots. This tree was getting shook about 1.5 metres either way. Yeah. And you could hear the roots cracking in the ground. And it's just going crack, crack, crack. The tree was actually leaning up against another tree to stay up. If that tree wasn't there, it would have fallen over. And then all of a sudden, this creature ran off through the bush. You could hear the bush just getting bashed out of the way. Yeah. And big cracks and everything, like big branches getting broken. And it was like the biggest sledgehammer hitting the hardest ground. Thud, 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 thud. And this all happened real quick. It was within about 20, 30 seconds. And I was more stunned because I'm thinking, what is this thing? Yeah. And the dog's going, rah, rah. So me and the dog, we took off up to the next boxes. we get up there, and I'm going, did you guys hear that? And they're like, what? But you look like you've seen a ghost, mate. What's going on? And they're going, look at your dog. All her hair was stand up, and she was just like, she'd had about 50 coffees, and she just couldn't stand still. And she's like all upset. And I'm like, someone just screamed at me. And they're like, what? I go, it sounded like, I don't know, a yowie or something. I just splurted it out. I'd never really been into yowies. For me, at that time, I wanted to believe they were real, but in my mind, I thought, no, they're not real. They're just something from the Aboriginal dream time. Yeah. So we end up going back down after about another 10 minutes because it was my trial. I put the dog in the boxes. Yeah. I got in the car, took off as quick as I could, and the dog ran up. She ran hopeless, didn't really run that good, but I just got a run out of her because I was training her for a race. Yeah. Got her out, gave her a drink, got in the car and took off. And I think I've never been back there after that, not because of being scared. I didn't just go there for, my dog was racing around in a circle and I didn't go back. But like I said, I since learned that there was encounters. So that's how I got into it. And I got home, and the first thing I said was to my family was, I think I had an encounter with a Yowie, and they're all looking at me like, what? I'm going, something screamed at me. They go, it's probably a big dog or something. I'm going, no, I'm telling you, it wasn't. I wish I had a sound recorder and I recorded it, because you'd be going, what the hell is that? So I look up on the internet, I'm looking up Yowies, and it comes up with AYR, the Dean Harrison's site, which is a forum for people to chat about anything to do with Yowies, Bigfoot, anything with cryptids. He's got different little subject, like forum rooms there. And you can join up and you can say, hey, I'm a newbie. And I got on there and said I had an encounter. And then he come back to me and said, there's been a lot of stories of people seeing Yowies and having encounters there, and you're just one of many. So my interest was sparked then, and I went, I want to know what these things are. So I kind of took a bit of while to get into researching and going out, because I had to get the actual courage to get out there by myself, because I didn't know anyone. And so it was really funny. So I just chatted to people and got to know a few people on the AYR forum, because Facebook wasn't really big. This is 2005. Yeah. In July. So July 2005. So it took a few months for me to actually start going out. And then I said, all right, I'm going to get out there. So the more I got out there, the more confidence I got, the more I knew when I was asking people questions about, what do you guys use? How do you record them? Yeah. What's the best camera to use, and so on. So that's basically how I got into it.
Yeah, I mean, I remember, I think I saw, the first time I became aware of the Yowie phenomenon, I think there used to be a program shown in the States and over here in the UK called Sightings.
Yeah, I know that.
And I think Dean was interviewed, it must be 1996, 1997, and I think it was an interview with Dean about one of his encounters. And from that point on, I was just like, wow, this sounds incredible, because whilst I'm no biologist, but I know enough about the natural fauna of Australia that there is nothing comparable. You don't have bears, your largest wild dogs, your dingo, you've got roos and stuff, but there's nothing that, through the amount of sightings that have been reported and witnesses, there's nothing it can be mistaken for, because you're talking about something that's at least 6 foot tall and covered in hair. Now, there is nothing on the Australian continent that can be mistaken for that, really. And that's what kind of got me into it. And I thought, wow, what's going on here?
On the odd occasion, a big male kangaroo could be mistaken for something like a Yowie, because they do stand up like over 6 foot tall when they get on their back legs. The big red ones, and there's some grey roos that do get that big. But in the Blue Mountains, I haven't come across any kind of roos. I've only come across the small wallabies. Yeah. And then people, we have two types of Yowies here. We have the tall, like the Yowie, and we have ones that are Junjudis or Junjudis. Yep. I'm not sure the correct pronunciation. People pronounce it different for different areas. They're small ones, and I've actually had a face-to-face encounter with one of them, and they're only about 3 foot to 4 foot tall. Yeah. So people have seen them. But there's no bears. We haven't got wolves. We haven't got cougars. There was supposedly you had the Black Panther, which is a story that's been going on since the 1940s, when the American Army come over here, or Navy, and they had mascots, and they said you can't take them back. You're going to have to kill them. So instead of doing that, they said they got released. Yeah. People I'm not sure how many got released, if they did. But we have got feral cats here, and they do grow really big. So there has been videos of feral cats being videoed, and you can tell them that they're big, but they're not as big as a cougar or a panther. Sorry, as a panther. But there's nothing as big as what people have seen or videoed, and there's nothing that's 9 or 10 foot tall in the bush. And what I heard that to get me into researching, there's nothing in Australia without the use of something like a mechanical bulldozer or excavator that could have got that tree and shook it and broken them big roots of the tree. So, you're right there. There's nothing in Australia that can do that. And there's also nothing in Australia that can throw rocks at you, that can get 2 pebbles and rock clack them. There's nothing that can do finger clicks, mouth clicking like apes do in Australia. There's so many different things I've recorded. Walking around on 2 legs. I've recently got a bipedal footsteps from the Cox's River. when I did a hike from Canangra to Katoomba, which was about a 55-kilometre hike. And that wasn't that far from our tents. But yeah, there's nothing in Australia that is over 7 foot tall to 10 foot tall, and that's hairy, walking on 2 legs, that can make these sounds and have people sighting them and say, hey, what's that?
Yeah, I mean, that's the key thing for the whole Yowie phenomenon. Me is simply, I mean, you know, like you refer to the size of some kangaroos. I think the very famous one was he called Roger, that passed away last year, and he was essentially built like a bodybuilder. He was absolutely enormous. He was just so ripped, like I've never seen an animal. I mean, I've seen gorillas and certain chimps that are really quite muscular. But that guy, I mean, I saw the video of him squashing a bucket, a tin bucket, and I just thought, wow, how strong's that? You know, and they're big animals, and obviously, you know, there's the famous video of the guy in the bush whose dog gets into a bit of a situation with one, and the guy just runs over and gives him a punch to let the dog go, which is one of the strangest videos I've ever seen. So I think when you know the country and you know the animals that live there, that's what elevates this for me. And like you say, the native stories go back, you know, generations, you know, before white men came to the country.
Yep.
And for me, that's what I've always linked it with, the tales of the Native Americans, because the legend is there in their oral tradition, you know, in regards to Sasquatch or Bigfoot. And for me, the same kind of correlation can be made for the Yowie in regards to it seems to be quite a modern phenomenon, if you look at it on face value, but once you actually look into the legend and myth of the native cultures, you realise that these stories go back hundreds of years.
Yeah, well, actually, they go back longer than that, because people have got to realise that the Aboriginal Australians are like one of the oldest people on the earth. And they've said they've been here since like 75, 80,000 years, and they've actually kind of proved it to be a little bit longer now.
Yeah.
So one thing you've got to look at too is these stories have been around for thousands of years, and these people are being isolated from. They've never seen American Indians. They've never had anything to do with them. They've never had anything to do with other people on like mainland Europe that have got like the Yeti and all that kind of things happening down in Nepal and Tibet, and they've got the same story. These are ape men walking around. So you know, they haven't been talking or anything. There was no Facebook. There's no telephones.
Yeah.
So why, as a tribe of humans, got stories about ape men, and they haven't come in contact and talked with anyone else? You've got to kind of think about that, where it's all over the world. They've got stories of their own ape men, and this is going back thousands of years or hundreds of years, when people weren't talking over telephones, or you had to go by boat, and it took months or years to get somewhere. So that's what really intrigues me, is the stories that are that old. And then even the first, there's been accounts in Australia from the early 1800s that they were talking about the Yahoos. They used to call them Yahoos, or the wood apes. And the Aboriginals would say, yeah, that's the, you know, they had different names for them. And then it somehow come into being named the Yowie. And like the first researcher that was into doing Yowies and looking for them was Rex Gilroy. And in the 1970s, he came out and said, yes, I'm searching for the Yowie. And then the phenomenon of that name took off from then, and it's been known by that more or less from that day on. Yeah. And he was like the first one that was like getting ridiculed and everything. But there's a lot of people out there that if you talk to them, if you go into a country town and say, oh, you know, I'm here looking for Yowies, people won't come up to you and, you know, unless they're by themselves and say, hey, yeah, I've got something going on weird around my place. There's that many people that are even just interested in the possibility of one being there. And when I was researching, I was like, you know, I want to believe in them, even though I had my encounter. I didn't see it. It could have been another creature, but what's going to rip this tree nearly out of the ground that's like so big? But then when I went to Glenbrook there one day, I just went to film a new area, and I'm walking along, and there's something paralleling me. But before that, this is on the AYR audio, It's under the Glenbrook. If you look up Yowie Hunters and look up the audio, you look at Glenbrook and it's about the Junjity. Anyway, I get maybe 200 metres down this trail. It was really like misty, raining. It was foggy. I'm thinking no one's going to be on there, but I passed one guy and I said, "Oh, is anyone else on the trail?" He says, "No, I'm just a local. There's no one there today. It's too wet." And I'm like, "Oh, beautiful. If I'm going to see something, I might see something today." Yeah. But then all of a sudden, I hear like these Aboriginal talking, and they've been saying the Yowies have a similar speech. If it's been heard to like a mumbling kind of chatter. But it sounds kind of Aboriginal, and you can't understand what they're saying, but it sounded like young kids, like 4 or 5-year-olds. And I'm like, why is there a bunch of 4 or 5-year-olds here? What's going on? Yeah. And then I walk a bit further. On the left-hand side of me is like young girls, like 14, 15-year-olds. And I'm like, what the hell's going on here? So I walk along, and I can hear like adult voices, maybe 100, 200 metres ahead of me. And I'm like, is there a group of Aboriginals around here? So I thought, I'll just keep walking. So I got about 500 metres along and the trail, and all of a sudden there's something paralleling me going through the bush, and I'm thinking, is that a wallaby? But it kept following me, stopping when I stopped and moving when I moved. So I got to an area where the bush was more like a paperbark trees, and it opened up, and I'm like, I'm going to wait here and see if I can see it. But it was already there, and it was like 3.5 foot tall. It was looking at me around this tree. All I could see was its head. And I thought sometimes here you get like these bugs and that get into the trees, and they kind of have like a bulge comes out of them. I'm not sure if it's like the wood ants or termites or if it's some sort of worm, but they get like an infection. And I thought it was that, but I kept watching it. And I'm like, it was maybe 6 metres away from me. And then all of a sudden it moved its head a bit and it blinked. But its eyes were solid black. There was no white. It was solid black. Yeah. The hair was maybe like a chocolate brown or black, but it was raining, so you know how lighter hair goes darker when it's wet. Yeah. And it just stood there and looked at me still, and I was videotaping it. My camera died because it was raining and foggy. The water got into it and it wrecked the actual video recording. I never got it out. And it blinked and it just kind of looked at me. And then when it got a bit foggy and kind of rain a bit more, I just seen it move, and it took off, and that was it. It was gone. And then from then on, I went, gee, these things are real. So I kind of went ahead and did more research, and actually did nights out in the bush, like hiked into places, went a few kilometres into the bush, and hiked and camped there by myself overnight. And to be honest, I was like really scared for the first couple of times I did that, and my heart was pounding all night. I couldn't sleep. I wasn't even getting out of my tent. But then after a while, I got used to it, and I was doing it, and it was all good. But then I made my own Facebook group in probably, I think, 2011, and decided to do it myself and get some people that wanted to come out with me, because the Blue Mountains, which is about 50 to 70 k's west of Sydney, so if you get on the M4 motorway, just keep going straight, you come to the Blue Mountains, you can't miss it. And that's one of the biggest hotspots in Australia, if not the hotspot in Australia for sightings. I know in Queensland, just outside of the Gold Coast, there's some bush out there, which is another hotspot. And that's where I research in the Blue Mountains. I know all the places around there, and I've got a video on my YouTube channel called Australian Yowie, and it's called the Glenbrook Yowie. I did not see it. I did not hear it. I did not smell it. I actually just went down. That's exactly the same trail that I saw the small one. And it was maybe another 50 metres along, but on the right-hand side of the trail. And I went down like a ridge. It's not easy to get down there. I know how to get down. It's actually pretty easy, but if you don't know, you think, oh, I wish I could get down there. But you can't if you don't know. So I found this spot, and I'm not really showing anyone how to get down there because I did a lot of sound recording, set a lot of trail cameras up. I went down there because I had an operation on one of my Achilles tendons, and I was just getting over that, and a lot of people were showing a lot of their research, etc. And I was getting a bit jealous, so I wanted to go to an easy trail. So that's why I went there. So I go down. I've got my camera. I'm kind of not picking up a lot of signs that I usually pick up, like tree breaks, etc., because my leg was hurting, and I was like, oh, what are you doing here? You're going to hurt yourself. But I just wanted to find something. So I'm videotaping around, got another camera, and I found this tree break, and I'm like, oh, how did I miss this first up? So I'm trying to, what I did, I turned the camera down to this rock that was down next to me. And as I turned it down, I picked up something in the background, and it's about 18 metres away from me. So I put the camera down. I'm bending this tree that's been broken. It's only about, so round. It's not big. You can put your hand around it. But I'm bending it like a fishing rod. It just would not break. And I'm going, how did this break? Something heavy must have grabbed onto this to break it. So then I've put the video onto my computer. I've checked it a few times, 3 or 4 times, because I go through all my videos a few times and study different areas of the video constantly in case you miss something. So I'm sitting there one morning. I'm still, talking to my mate Dave, who researches in Canberra, and he says, I said to him, I think I've got something on this video. And he goes, send it to me. So I just put it on YouTube for a quick bit, and he's going, yeah, there's something there. So I've gone back to the rock ledge, and I've measured how far it was away. So it was about 18 metres. And it's standing next to a rock ledge that's about 12 foot high, and it's only maybe 1.5 foot shorter than that rock ledge.
Yeah.
I don't know anything that's that big, and I never heard or smelled it. And then it was kind of a bit chilling to know that something that big was near me, and I didn't see it. And you can see it actually turn around as it was only like 6 frames or something of it. You didn't get much because I wasn't there filming it. I didn't even know it was there. So that was a real when I first started, it was a real chilling episode for me, and it pushed me on to go even further.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of that, some of the sightings you get of Bigfoot in the States as well is that people simply, the thing that stuns them when they realise what they're looking at is that there's something that big that can just, it seems just glide through the terrain when it wants to. Obviously, I know you were referring to your first sighting with at the dog track, where obviously you could hear it thundering away. But there's always, obviously listening to a lot of reports in regards to the Yowies, a lot of people where it seems to just sneak up on you as like like a ninja, as it were.
Yeah. But what they do is they're a creature that if you're going to see them, they will let you see them, because they're like a master of disguise. Like you look at kangaroos and wallabies, they're like a grey, blacky colour, browny colour, which the Australian bush is all different than colours because there's always fire going through there. So the blacks and the browns and the greys are all the Australian bush. Yeah. Browns from the leaves, different greens. And sometimes I'm walking through the bush and there's a wallaby within a few metres of you. You won't see it until it actually moves away, and it kind of frightens you and you're like, oh, gee, that scared me. Yeah. So they only will let you notice them if they want you to see them, because they do. It's like this. It's like they can just go over leaves and broken twigs and stuff, and they won't make a noise. And so that's why we use like thermal cameras and to pick up the heat, which they cost a lot of money. Not many people have, and I don't own one, but I'm glad I've got a good friend, a good fellow researcher, Simon Young, who lends me his thermal camera when I go around and ask him for it. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. I mean, one of the other things that I've always found interesting about this is that, if you ask the average person, they probably don't realise, firstly, how big Australia is, and secondly, especially in the southeast, just how lush the fauna is down there, because, like you mentioned about the Blue Mountains and the rainforest in that area, it's really thick terrain, and I think most people, either their thought of Australia is that it's either just desert or cities, and that's it, or maybe a few farmsteads up in the north. But like you say, that the southeast is obviously the hot spot for where the Yowie sightings have been, especially in the modern era. So I think that kind of lends a bit more credence to it as well, because same with Canada, most people just don't appreciate just how bloody big the place is.
Yeah, and it's really hard terrain too. Like, you go to the Blue Mountains, and there's still a lot of places in the Blue Mountains men haven't even set foot on, because it is so hard. It is mountains. There's recently, a couple of months ago, I did a 55k hike from Canangra to Katoomba with 2 fellow researchers. One being John, he comes from England, and then Adam. Yep. And there was I could say 90 to 95% of that trail was going either up or downhill, and when you finish your day's hiking, and the first day we hiked 20 kilometers, and it was like hard slog. Like we got to the top of a mountain called Mount Cloudmaker, and we camped there overnight, and it's the highest mountain range there. And all we did was set up camp, make a coffee, have something to eat like a dehydrated food or noodles, and went straight to bed.
Yeah.
We were that tired, So it's really hard, and there's only 3 spots in that 55 k's to get water. So there's not a lot of people going through there, and if you do, you have to be prepared with GPSs, maps, because the track isn't really. Some place it just disappears. Like the track's really, like you can see it perfect, nice clean trail. Next minute you go through the bush and you're like, where's the trail gone? So there's a lot of places in the Blue Mountains that's really hard, and a lot of Australia's like that. Especially, you go all the way down the Great Dividing Range. It starts up in Queensland and goes all the way down Queensland, all the way down New South Wales to Victoria. So all the way down the eastern coast is one big set of ranges called the Great Dividing Range, and it just goes up and down, and that's where most of the sightings are, in them ranges. So it's really it's not an easy place to go. Like when we went on that Canangrid hike, we actually come across a couple of Koreans. They were lost. They didn't have any water. We gave them water, and we said, you can come with us. We'll show you the way. We've got the equipment to know where the trail is. They decided to go back. They said, no, we've been scared. We're going back. Yeah. I could see the look in the girl's face, and she just was terrified, like they were lost. And there was all dingoes making noises around the area. She's just saying, dog, yeah. So we were doing cooeys, and there's all these dingoes howling.
Yeah.
And we were just laughing. We were laughing at it, saying, the dingoes are not too bad. It's the wild dogs that have got it. They're the ones you've got to worry about. The dingoes will attack young kids and that, but adults, they standoffish. But I wouldn't want to meet a pack of them by myself, though. So I'm not saying that they won't attack you, but I'd rather run into dingoes than wild dogs.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've still got to be careful with them. Obviously, I mean, there's been a couple of incidents this year already with children.
That's on the island. I think Lord Howe, I think it is. Yeah, because what it is, a lot of people go there and they feed the dogs. So the dogs, they're not even going hunting for birds or whatever, or rats or mice or whatever's there. They're just going straight over because they know they'll get chips and then so they're really there just to think something's going to be in that kid's hand, but the kid, it might just get away from the parents. Next minute, oh, this is a meal, bang, grab it. So it's always young children. So they told people, we're going to fine you if we catch you feeding the dogs, and there's signs everywhere, don't feed them. Yep. So it's more the humans' problem that they're doing this to the dogs. They're bringing them in by feeding them, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. I think and eventually, like you say, because they're talking about intelligent animals here, regardless. They get you. They think, oh, this is the easiest meal we're ever going to get here. So they just lose their complete fear. And people think, oh, well, it looks like a dog, so it must behave like a dog. But they just completely forget that these are wild animals, regardless.
Yeah, they've survived for thousands of years by doing what they're doing is just hunting. And if they see a meal there, they're going to take it. So, look at the Azaria Chamberlain, which is, one of the most famous. There's been a movie made about it. I think Meryl Streep plays Lindy Chamberlain, and she ended up spending, I think, 10 years in jail, and then she got exonerated. They said, from new evidence that maybe a dingo did take it, and she got let out of jail, and I think she lives in America and married a millionaire. So
yeah. I mean, that's probably the most famous case, like I say, because of the Meryl Streep film. That's probably the most famous incident of a dingo attack on a child, because I think it was a baby, wasn't it, that was taken out of a tent. They were out camping, weren't they?
Yeah, right out in the middle of the Australian bush. Yeah, and it was like really the first time it was ever heard of, really. It was a really big thing here in Australia. I was only young, so it was in the 80s sometime. Yeah, and that family went through hell after that. A lot of people were telling them, how could you leave your baby there and that? But no one knows what the situation was. But, it was unfortunate what happened. And, hopefully, we've got to learn from all this. That don't feed these wild animals. Just have a look at them, but don't feed them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and it works both ways, because that interaction's bad for everybody involved, especially the dingo.
Yeah, of course. And then the dingoes get shot. It's like, anything that attacks a human, they shoot it. If it's a bear in America or a dingo here, shoot it. But it's not. They're only doing what it's inbuilt in their brain. There's a feed there. They haven't got a 7-Eleven around the corner. They get a hamburger or something. There's not a fish and chip. There's no fish and chip shops there. So, that's unfortunate. And people just disregard the signs and feed dingoes. It's bad. We hear it here a lot. But, it's unfortunate. But, you never really get... I've never seen a dingo in the Blue Mountains, but they are there. Yeah. Very. I've heard them make noises. I've had sound recordings of them. But I've never actually come across one. Even when we did the hike, we heard them, but they weren't near us. Yeah. So they weren't really a worry to us. The more of a worry to us was the snakes. Yeah. If you get by a brown snake out in the middle there, you're pretty much 20 minutes, half an hour, and you're dead. Yeah. It's like the second deadliest snake in the world. So we had gators, plus maybe the funnel web spider. It's like most dangerous snake, spider in the world. So if you get bit by Blue Mountains, there's two different funnel webs. It's the Sydney funnel web and the Blue Mountains funnel web. And if you come across a female one, they're the poisonous ones. Yeah, I mean, you've just got to have your wits about. I know it's like a running joke for everybody who lives outside Australia that why on earth would you want to live somewhere where you've got like you mentioned the eastern brown, because there was a lady the other day who had a lucky escape. I don't know if you saw that story, Dan, that she found a baby snake just outside her house, I think, and she picked it up, took a picture of it and sent it to a snake expert, and he just said, what on earth are you doing? She'd picked up a baby eastern brown. And she was going, oh, look at this cute little thing. And he was like, you're absolutely mad, because it's usually the baby juveniles that'll nip you, but obviously they're still as venomous as an adult. Yeah, just as venomous. Look, I got a story that my brother-in-law did the same thing. They live up just about an hour north of Sydney, a bushy area near Avoca. He knew it was a brown snake, but he picked it up by the tail to put in a bucket because the parents next door went there, and the kids were like, we want to play in the backyard, 15, 14-year-olds, and they said, can you get rid of the snake for us? So, I'll pick it up. It bent around, bit him on the thumb. But but the fang's got his nail, his fingernail. So what happens, he just, like, all right, put it in the bush, and he goes ahead and starts mowing the lawn again. Like, he rings up his mate and he said, this snake kind of come up and bit me on the finger. And he goes, what? He goes, oh, the baby brown snake. They're not poisonous. He goes, quickly, rang this guy's his mate's an ambo driver, drives the ambulance around, picks him up, makes him go to the hospital, and he's whinging about being in the hospital. He goes, I've got to do gardening. And he's whinging, and he spends 4 hours in there. He goes, mate, if it was going to kill me, I'll be dead now, so I'm going. So they signed him out after 4 hours. He went home. Oh. So, that's what, But they regularly, they got, anyone that's in the bush, you go to a swimming pool, if it's a backyard one, you're looking for for funnel webs. Funnel webs always find themselves in pools, and people are pulling out at least 1 or 2 a day, and they can survive underwater for a fair amount of time. So you always hear on the odd occasion someone's been bitten in a swimming pool by a funnel web. Well, I've never heard of that one. Yeah, I mean, that adds a whole new dimension to it, because I know it's obviously bad enough with them being around there. So, what do they like? Did they sort of adapt to be able to sort of walk on the water tension and dive down like a water boatman does using air bubbles and stuff? Or? No, I'm not sure, but I know that, look, when it gets to time when it's breeding time, they're all moving around. Yeah. They climb up trees, so they fall out of the gum trees too. They just walk into the pools because, look, they don't know what pools are. They're just a spider. So they go in the water. They might be on the top, but you see them, they go down to the bottom. But they can survive underwater for like hours or a day or something. Wow. And I'm not quite sure, but they can survive under there for a fair amount of time. And people go in, they think it's dead. They scoop it up in their hand. Next minute it bites them, and next minute it's on. And when you hear a funnel web spider bites, it does make the TV here. Some bit by a funnel web, and then we've got the redback spiders, so they're dangerous as well. So anything that's like, we get taught as when we're young, if you're going to pick up a rock, kick it over to see what's underneath it first, because if it's not a spider, it's a scorpion or something else like that. And it doesn't matter where you go in Australia. You go in the water, you get the blue ring octopus. Yeah. That gets you. Look, that kills you. It's killed a lot of divers. Yeah. So we've got so many dangerous animals here. But going back to the yowie, which we're mainly talking about, people say they're aggressive, but I've never come across one being aggressive other than that one that yelled and screamed at me. Yeah. But other than that, I've got stories of getting herded out. And my wife, a fellow researcher and myself were down near Appin. We were filming and getting evidence there. and there was like 3 small ones come around us, and they were walking around the bush. One come down a ridge, one come to our right, one was behind us, and they were like circling us.
Yeah.
And there's no animals like wallabies. Wallabies are like, they're binds. They're not in groups. You see a wallaby, you only see one. There's nothing else. There's no possums walking around there. They're just in the trees. And the possums, I don't see that many of them. They're in groups, but in certain areas. There's no koalas there. There's no wombats. There's no dogs. There's nothing. So to me, they were small yowies or they were junjutties, and they were walking around us. And they were trying to hurt us out. So we got a little bit like, oh, something's going on here. We'll just get out of here because we've got 500 metres to get back to the other guys in the car. So we got out of there. But there have been occasions where in Canberra, Dave and a fellow researcher were there, and they got herded out by three or four big ones. Yeah. And they said they took off real quick. And still to this day, they won't go out unless they're in a group at night. They won't go out by themselves. So,
I mean, that's one of the stories. I mean, I think one of the first witness reports I saw was with a guy, and I forgot whereabouts in Australia it was. It was down in the southeast, and he was enormous. He was about 6'7". I think he was a biker. He was absolutely enormous, this fella. Yeah. And I think he was putting some rubbish out in his bins at night, and there was one in his back garden, and when he was telling the story, you could see him shaking when he was relaying this story. And I thought, if anything's going to scare him, I don't want to see that.
Yeah, it's because what it is, like you go out at night time, you go, I'll put the garbage out because the garbage truck's coming the next day, and next minute you got this thing that's not supposed to be real standing a few metres from you, and if you're 6'5" and it's bigger than you and twice as wide, the first thing you're going to do is run. You know, you don't know what it is, you don't know what it's capable of. And if it's big, it's got strength, and you don't know if it's going to get there and crush you.
Yeah.
Or try to bite you or something like that. You know?
Absolutely. It's not something I want to, take your chances with, I think, there. Safety first in all occasions.
Yeah, that's what we always do. It's always safety first. Because if you can't see it, you don't know what it is. You don't know if it's any kind of dangerous creature. Like going back to the kangaroos, the kangaroos, they're like, they got claws and they scratch, but their main leg, 2 legs, they're the dangerous weapon. So what they do, they'll try and grab you by the back of the head, and then they'll just kick you and kick you and kick you till you've got no air in your lungs and you just pass out, and they'll rip you up and they'll just like crush your lungs. They're so strong. Yeah. So when they, like that, you were talking about Roger that died just recently. The guy there, he goes by the name of Kangaroo Dundee. I actually watched the first kind of documentary on him. And he's like 6'7" or 6'8". He's not a small guy. He was looking up to Roger. He was looking up to him. And I went, because I looked this guy up and thought, he's tall. And I looked and see he's like 6'7". I thought, how big is a kangaroo? 7 foot. Yeah. So he didn't want to play around with it. So yeah, Australia's full of dangerous creatures, and we all grow up with them, and it's a brown snake, but if I get bit by a brown snake in the Blue Mountains, you've got to walk out or anywhere 20 minutes, and you're in real trouble if you're not getting emergency treatment. So yeah, and Yowie's not one of the ones you want to come across if it's angry or it's got young ones around. Yeah. Or it's breeding time. Because what I call Yowie season is the winter time. Yeah. Most of my encounters or my sound recordings or any kind of good findings I've had or anything has been during when it's cold or it's just finished raining or it is raining or low temperatures. Yeah. That's the best time that I found. It's not saying I haven't had any good encounters or anything happen in the summer, but it's just if you're going to go walk to the Blue Mountains and go a few kilometres and it's like 30 degrees, it's really hard to do. You quickly get dehydrated, and there's not a lot of places in the Blue Mountains that you can drink the water. You have to take water purification because there's been a lot of people dumping things in the water. And the odd time you'll see on the national parks alert, don't drink any water. There's been dead fish found, that native fish like perch, don't drink any water. And some of the rivers are polluted, unfortunately. You can't see it. They look crystal clear, but they've got, Giardia, Cryptosporidium, which will give you diarrhea.
Yes.
So unless you've got water filtration. It's not good to go to a waterfall and put your bottle there to refill and drink.
Yeah.
It looks clear, but it's not. You've got those little parasites that will quickly, within 24 hours, send you to the toilet a lot. So.
Yeah, good for the diet, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously moving on from there. So when did you decide to form the Yowie Times, which is the newsletter that you publish? How does that involve? And obviously there's more than one person. So is that you and your collective that work on that together then, Dan?
Yes, I come up with the idea because there was different magazines from around the world, Bigfoot and stuff. And I'm like, there's not really like a little magazine comes out monthly that people can read witness reports or show their evidence that they've found hairs or tree breaks or anything, and just learn about different things about the Yowie. So this would be, I think, the third year it'll be in June. 2017 I started it. Yeah. So June 2017. So second or third year. So I lost track on that. I've been done so many issues now. But basically, I bring up the idea, and I just made like a small, I think 6-page one, and I just got like a template off the internet and just filled in the template. And it was the first one was about when I actually recorded howls, which we think it could come from a Yowie at a place called a national park called Marramara, which is an Aboriginal name, and we had howls there. So that was like my big story, and I wrote a few different stories, and I said, would anyone be interested in subscribing to a monthly one? And I had like 100 people within the first 2 weeks. Yeah. And it's gradually gone up from there. But basically it's fellow researchers I know and myself that want to contribute. It's, no one gets paid. I don't get paid for it. It's for free. If you get on the Facebook page, the Yowie Times, and say you want to just add to the group, but it's not for research. It's just to find articles and let people know about the Yowie Times. But if you want to subscribe, my email is Australian Yowie, lowercase, all together, one word. So AustralianYowie@gmail.com, and just ask to be added as a subscriber, and I'll pretty quickly send you a link to a previous issue, and I have got one issue there which has got all the previous links to all the previous issues. So I'll send you them and add you to it. And on the 7th of each month, the Yowie Time is emailed out. So tomorrow is Australian time, which is the 7th of April. I'll be emailing the Yowie Times out. So I've got just over about 360 subscribers at the moment. And I do advertise it about a week or two before. But the current issue, which is the April issue, is the front cover is a bust done of a picture of a Yowie that Ray Doherty got. It was actually called the tree sitter. It was actually sitting in a tree. I actually seen this bust firsthand, and it was done by an artist called Buck Buckingham. And from the picture, they've both talked about it, Ray and Buck, and said, how are we going to make the bust from the picture? So it took them a lot of hours to discuss, and a lot of umming and ahhing what colours they're going to use from the picture. So they really did a fantastic job. And what really kind of got me thinking that, look, this is something real, because I said, why did you use a blue colour, bluey grey skin to it? And Ray said, well, that's what the skin colour looked like. It had a blue-grey skin. And I'd really not told anyone about my Janjati, what skin it looked like. And I said, it had a blue-grey skin into its face. And I went, gee, look, they've got something here. And it really shook me, because it looked more Aboriginal kind of ish.
Yeah.
And, and it's they've done a fantastic job. So that's been put as the front cover. So it's probably, to me, it's the best front cover so far that I've had, even though some of them are pretty good. Most of them are my photos that I've taken, or I've had one or two subscribers that sent a picture in and said, could this be the front cover? And I went, yeah, no worries. I'll make it as the front cover. So there's articles like Shooting the Tube. We've got Shooting the Tube. He does a review on that. I write one about creepy cryptids. It's only like a page or two about different cryptids around the world. I try to do obscure ones, so people get interested in that. There's like a witness report. The witness report this month is a report on, actually, it's not on a Yowie, it's actually, we're Yowie researching and we come across something that was very different. But I won't tell you what it is. You guys have got to get into it and subscribe and read it.
Yep.
I've never had an encounter like this before in the Blue Mountains. We all pretty much got out of there really quick.
Yeah.
We all seen it. We got it on the thermal camera as well. But we all had our gear away. We couldn't record it, so we just, two of the guys sent it through the thermal camera. So it was something there, not just a shadow.
Yeah.
There's the back page is called Reader Snapshot. Is you send in a picture. Doesn't have to be Yowie related. It's just like, it could be like, this is my local countryside from America, from Canada, from Australia, from anywhere. I've got ones from the Philippines, saying, and I just all you do is write your name and whereabouts it is, and that's it. So then I'll just write a little bit more on there to keep people in, a bit, telling what it's about. What else we got there? We got the odd, we have odd articles. There's different articles that only pop in here and there. Someone might have something to write. I have one called Subscribers Spiel. So if you just got something on your mind and you want to get it off your chest, write an article, send it in to me, and I'll put it under that headline. So if you want to do a witness report, you can put your name there or just put anonymous.
Yeah.
But people like reading reports that they haven't read before. So that's one of the ones that's most liked in the Yowie Times. So it's basically about, it usually runs about 40 pages. It has got over 50 at one stage, but depends what, sometimes the researchers can't get out because of weather or they might be sick. So it depends what they've got and what they've been doing. It depends on how many pages it is. But it's a free monthly issue. Like I said, if you want to subscribe, it's there every month on the 7th. And I still have the passion for doing it, even though it's been a few years. So it's always interesting. We have a tips and techniques article, and that basically tells people about, different things about what you should do on a long hike, what equipment you should use, about tents, maybe about footwear, maybe if you get in trouble, how to stop like a cut if you cut yourself on a tree or something, or a sharp object. So it's all different articles about just helping you while you're researching, and then articles about, reports on Yowies and other things. So I have got a new one just starting this month. It's from a fellow researcher. She's not really a Yowie researcher. She's more into thylacines. So it's called Tiger Stripes, and it's all about the thylacine. She researches on the thylacine, and that's it is a real animal, as everyone knows, but it was supposed to be extinct after, it's mostly, it was in Tasmania, but they have found thylacines from the mainland, but they're supposed to be bones. But there is actually currently a research going on up in northern Queensland, and they've got trail cameras and equipment out because there's been sightings of what's they said is a thylacine. Yeah. But she's got casts, and it's got the little fifth toe on the side, which is not a dew claw. It's actually a different. I'm not really adverse on the subject, so I can't really explain much. But she's just got an intro into the tiger stripes, which is about thylacines, and then she's going to get more in depth. So that's interesting. It's just a little bit of a branch off from the Yowies, but it's still cryptid related. Yeah. But it's just, like they said, they're not supposed to be there. But I've heard from different people that have gone down, and then I know a cousin's friend of a friend that says, they run around in the backyard. There's a family of them, but they don't say nothing because they don't want people to go around and kill them, because that's why they're supposed to be extinct, because they said they were actually taking the sheep, but it was actually not them. It was actually the wild dogs doing it. It wasn't them. So they got shot to extinction, what they think. I hope they're around. There's actually some research groups that look for them, but they haven't come up trumps yet. There was actually a video that actually come out not long ago, but it looks like something on four legs like a dog or something. It could be a thylacine, but you couldn't really see it clearly. It did stay its distance away from the trail camera. So, but fingers crossed that they're still out there. But that's an interesting article that's just starting this month.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like you say, it's one of those creatures, because obviously I think we've all seen that footage of the last one that was in Hobart Zoo, wasn't it?
Yeah, 1930s, yeah. I think it was called Ben, I think, by memory.
I didn't know that.
I think that's in the Tiger Stripes article. That's when I learned it. So.
Brilliant. Well, I'll keep my eye out for that, because that's another thing, because I'm really interested in that, and I share the opinion of you there, Dan, that I think that there's clearly a surviving population somewhere, and I think a lot of people are very concerned about being too honest about the thylacine, that they don't want to say where exactly where they've seen it, because, like you refer to, somebody's going to go out there and try and bag one.
Yeah. So they can say, hey, look, yeah, I've got one, and then try and make some money out of it, and there's probably not many around, and why shoot it? So, yeah, that's why they keep them up.
Absolutely, no, I completely agree, and I think that's going to be something to keep your eye on, because I know there was a big furore early at beginning of this year. I think a guy took a picture of one, and everybody, it's clearly a fox. I mean, I'm not sure if you've seen that picture. It was up on a hillside somewhere.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And what happens is you get dogs and they get the mange.
Yeah.
And what happens, the skin goes really it kind of swells up a bit, and it makes the base of the tail, because they usually get it on the back where the base of the tail is and down their legs, and it makes the tail go thicker because the skin gets thicker and the hair drops off, and it gives them that look because the tail just goes stiff.
Yeah.
But the thylacines have got a bit of a different gait to the dog, and their head's that like a square shape, and they could actually open up their mouth like 180 degrees.
Yeah.
So they've got they had like the biggest bite of any animal from 180 degrees. So yeah, they're completely different to a dog. But if you get a dog with a mange and it looks like it's got stripes, and someone's filming it with like an old phone camera, of course it's gonna not be clear, and they want to get their 5 minutes of fame. But I know a couple of people that research the thylacine, and they're like, nah, this is fake. So whatever they say goes.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, I mean, I've been subscribing to the Yowie Times for quite a while, so I recommend it heartily. So we'll mention it again at the end, and hopefully get you a few new subscribers as well, then, because it is a really good read.
Yeah, and it's for free. Like I said, it's something that it's a passion of mine, and I haven't lost it. And every month, everyone's like, "Oh wow, this is better than the last one." And I'm just so grateful to have the people that are writing the articles, and the articles are really interesting, and they put their heart and soul into it as well, and they give their time out to write them articles for me, and then I try to make the articles look as best as I can for the actual article writer. So, it's not half-hearted. Like, I've been there till 12 o'clock midnight finishing articles the night before, fixing up errors, like little tiny ones that I can see to make it look like as professional as I can.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. It's a really good read. So, you're also currently filming a documentary called Track, I believe.
Yes, this is getting made by a friend of mine called Attila Koldi. I hope I pronounced his surname right. Anyway, he's been making documentaries over different things, UFOs, now into Yowies and paranormal, and for a few years now. And he's got a lot of, I've seen his equipment. He's got the cameras. He's got all the gear. He knows what he's doing. And he came up to me and said, "Hey Dan, would you mind?" Want to be into we're going to make a Yowie documentary, because there's been documentaries made here. They haven't really gone in depth to a researcher and going out and filming what happens while you're researching. So we've done a few. We've done a couple of nights out. I'm not going to say what we got. I'm not going to give anything. I want leave that to when it gets released.
Yep.
It's very, so far, I'm going to be looking forward to watching it myself.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of fun doing this, filming this as well. We are planning on a few sites that have really got a lot of history with Yowie sightings. And it's one place where Attila and myself have actually had an encounters. Like where we're going to go, I've had an encounter there where I've had a rock or a stick thrown at my tent.
Yep.
And there's only one trail there, and it's really hard to get there. And I was with a fellow researcher, and he said the next day, "I heard whatever got thrown at your tent, rock or a stick." And I said, "Well, why didn't you get out when I got out with the torch?" He goes, "I was too scared." So we were hearing them walk around the ridge all night. And the reason why we went there, because I went there with one of my sons. He was maybe 10 or 11. And I've been watching, Josh Gates and Monster Quest and
Yeah.
Nat Geo ones and Adam Davies and all these different ones, and they always talk about bipedal walking. So I'm just in the tent getting changed, and after setting it up, and I've got a little fire started, and my son was there cooking some marshmallows, and he goes, "Dad, I can hear something walking bipedally through the bush." And I'm like, 11-year-old kid yelling out something's bipedally. I'm going, "Well, it's probably just a kangaroo or a wallaby." Yeah. And I get out, and I hear this thing walking over the little ridge and coming down, and it stood behind the trees, and it was jet black. And I'm like, gee, that could be something. And next minute, it shook the trees, gave a scream, and went shooting down this 45-degree angle ridge, whoosh, straight down, and you could hear it bang, crash, boom, bang. And I'm like, did I just see a yowie? And I'm like, I couldn't be, because it was pretty dark, and I didn't have the torch out. It was kind of like, was it something there? But what happened? About 45 minutes later, after I cooked some sausages and some eggs and bacon to get the smell through the air to track things, it come back over the same ridge and stood behind the same trees, and no wallabies doing that. Yeah. So that's why we're going to this area because of that, and because Attila's had rocks thrown at him in this area, researching with his son and someone else. So yeah, it's going to come out probably at the end of the year or the start of 2020. Yep. And yeah, the trailer's really good. The howls on the trailer, I actually recorded them at Marramara and on a parabolic dish. And my wife will refuse to go back to Marramara again because we were there with Adam, a fellow researcher, and myself and my wife went down there after I'd previously been there 2 weeks prior to that. And Marramara is like just north of Glenorrey, Dural, which is a bit north of Sydney. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, so we went there, and it was really quiet because the week before I've actually got recordings of something ripping a tree apart. There was noises, there was fish jumping out of the water, there was animals like making noises like the foxes howling. There was like, it wasn't a full moon, but it was just action all night. Yeah. And we recorded wood knocks and everything. So we're like, oh, cool, we'll come back here. So that was with another fellow researcher who's in track. His name's Roger. Yep. So we went back there. We got nothing. It was quiet as, and there was another couple about 80, 100 metres away from us camping there as well. They went to sleep. It's 11:15. I went, sorry, Adam. I said, man, there's nothing here. I just put my hands on the zipper to open up the tent to start getting all my stuff ready. Next minute, whoa, this big howl, up and down, really loud. Like the recording doesn't do it justice. Yeah. It was like something had a microphone, but it was loud. And it was echoing through the whole valley, and it kept going. It was like it was yelling out, howling like, it was lost. Anyway, the other couple, they got out and made a fire, and they were scared. Anyway, I found out the next day when he come through, and he actually wrote a witness report in the Yowie Times about it. And he was like, oh, I'm right into them, but I've never heard anything like that before. My wife, when it was happening, she was stoking the fire, and I'm trying to tell her to go, quiet, I'm trying to record this. And so me and Adam have got smiles on our faces. She's like putting all the firewood on the fire to make this fire rage, and I'm like, quiet. So it was really funny. This thing's howling on and off for like 35 minutes, about every 5 minutes, every 4 minutes. Then it walked across the tidal creek in freezing cold water. It was like 6 or 7 degrees, so the water was freezing cold, chest high, come across the creek. We could hear it walking through the bush. So next minute, we put our torches in the bush, and the other couple, they got their torches, and they're looking back at us going, they can see it too, they can hear it too. And then after that, it disappeared and it went. So yeah, that's where the howls come from at the start of the trailer for track, and they were really, really interesting to hear. And they, like, after a night being so quiet, to get these big loud howls, which I've learnt through another friend to say someone that they know lives there and hears them howls a lot, and he says it's not a dog. He knows this is not a dog, it's too loud. So that's in the trailer for track. But yeah, it's going to be a very interesting documentary for people to watch, because it's people that have been experienced, they've had experiences, they tell what they've seen or what they've heard. And like, I've been walking, we do a few night walks. I've got a fellow researcher that comes out and we do night walks. I haven't been able to get out as much lately, but I want to do it again. So we'll just find a trail and we'll just put our head torches on, and most time we'll turn the head torches off And then we walk along, next minute you get swooped by owls.
Yeah.
And they're trying to swoop you because they think you're something to eat. So we'll turn, most of them are the trails we walk along at night are trails that are like a car can go down, like a four-wheel drive or a fire truck. They're like, so they're fire trails. So we'll walk along them, so there's no steps, you can't trip over. So if you turn your light off, after your eyes adjust, after a minute or so, you can see. So we turn it off, we walk along, we get to one place, we go to the lookout, fantastic lookout, called Falcon Bridge Lookout. It's even at night time it was fantastic. So we stayed there, had a coffee, and all right, we'll walk back. So we get back, I got my parabolic dish, and I'm like, oh, quiet, there's something in the bush. And I thought maybe it'd be a wallaby, but they started doing like finger clicks and mouth clicking and things like this. And there was two of them, and they were like reacting to each other, giving each other a signal. And then I've got to places like Vera Falls. If you go to Wentworth Falls, just to the right of that, you go down the, the Valley of the Waters, and it's Empress Falls. But if you keep going right down and walk in for about another hour, there's another big waterfall. So I was down there with someone who was really, Yowies aren't real. So we're sitting down there having a coffee, just, really beautiful area. Not many people go down there. You might see one person, if that. There's only one trail in and out. And then next minute is clack, clack. Two big river rocks getting clacked together, And she's like, what the hell was that? I'm going, it's a Yowie. What Australian animal's going to grab two rocks and clack it together other than a human? She says, there's no humans here. Let's get out of here. You figure so we end up going out. And I'm trying to go in the bush and look for it. And she's like, let's get out of here. So I've heard that rock clack twice.
Yep.
The second time I got a rock clack was we went to Woodford. It was my first. I got a group, Blue Mountains Yowie Research Group, but I don't have it on public on Facebook, so it's more for the full-time researchers to talk about stuff. We went down there, and unfortunately it rained most of the night. So most of the people, they were talking about their experiences, and one of the girls that went there, she was like 11 years old and had like a Yowie follow her while she was on a push bike going to school. And she was telling us it was only a couple of metres behind was this massive hairy man, and she said it wasn't just a hairy man, it was an ape man. So we were listening to these stories for the first time. So anyway, we sat there most of the night hearing constant tree breaks. Like you get the odd time you'll get an animal like something will break a bit of a branch at night, but not big tree breaks that you can hear these branches crack. So we're sitting there. I put a sound recorder and a trail cam down on the creek there, which was about a half an hour walk, and there's only one trail in and out. And it rained, and everyone was still in their tents, and I got up crack of dawn, which I usually do. So it's 5:30 in the morning. I got clothes on, and it's drizzling rain. So there's no one going to be out in the drizzling rain. So I walk down this trail. I get down there. Didn't hear anything. I'm filming on my camera. Unfortunately, we didn't get anything, but I'm going to get my gear and see what I got on the sound recorder. When I get the sound recorder back, you can hear me approach the sound recorder, and you can hear two rock clacks 30 seconds before I turn up. So there's a rock clack saying, hey, someone's coming, quickly, let's get out of here so we don't get seen. And that was like, there's twice I got rock clacks now. Got wood knocks. I've had the recording I got, which is the latest interesting one I got, which was the bipedal walking. We were doing that hike from Canangra to Katoomba, and we got to the Cox's River, which is you're looking about halfway of the hike, and it was the second night, and I put my sound recorder out because we were hearing wood knocks.
Yeah.
And if you go to this area, like it took us about maybe an hour to an hour and a half to walk, like on this 45-degree angle ridge that just went straight down, and we all had feet full of blisters, all on our feet. That was really hard to walk after that because it was like, you're walking on your soles of your feet, like the balls of your feet and the toes. They were just taking a hammering, and when we got down, it took us a while to get back on our feet because we're like, oh no, we've got blisters here. So we set up our camp, and it's all sandy there, and it's really interesting because the first thing I said to the boys was, this looks like Bluff Creek, looks like where they filmed Paddy, looks like the Patterson Gimlin film, and they're like, it does too. So we've seen maybe a couple of people that come down the trail because we couldn't find where the trail went for the next day. And they said, it's just up here. You've got to walk a couple of 100 metres and then go across. Once you walk up, you'll come across the trail. All right, so that was on a yellow putt ridge, and that's where all the dingoes were. So anyway, we're down there. We can hear wood knocks while there's only 1 or 3 places to get water. So basically, you got to take, a little bit of water at a time, drink it. You can't scull a lot of water because you're going to use it up, and you've got a lot of hard hiking ahead. So you've got to really, use it wisely. So when we get there, and we're only carrying maybe 4 litres of water to the next stage, so you can't have too heavy. So anyway, I put this sound recorder and the trail cam, I put them pretty much together. They were probably about 120, 150 metres away from us. Put it down. We go back. We're probably up to about 10:30 talking about things, hoping something might happen. But it was actually a hard hike. It was too hard to do any research overnight. We just were too tired. We had to get enough sleep to be able to do the next day's hike. So when I got back after we did it, I've put the sound recorder on. It's the only time I put the sound recorder up and had it working. After maybe 2 hours after we went to sleep, about 12:30, something walks up on 2 legs. It wasn't hopping. We've had a researcher here. He goes by the name the Rusty 222 on YouTube. If you look at Rusty, he has if you want to see the gear get put out on into the bush, and I've been there personally helping him carry the truck batteries to run all this gear. He's 4 truck batteries. And they weigh a lot. They're 20 kilos, 30 kilos each. So we're carrying them in. And he's got plot watches, he might have 10 or 12 of them in a circle. So he's getting 360 degrees. Instead of you saying, there's something in the corner of my trail cam, he's going to get it.
Yeah.
And he's got a CCT camera which will film something a kilometre away, and he'll just park that camera on that little bit of land, and it'll film for 7 days or 20 days straight. It's just filming constantly. If something goes through there, he's getting it from a kilometre away, so the Yowie won't know there's a trail camera there or a CCT camera watching him. So he's done research on how heavy, by the footsteps, how tall and how heavy each creature would be, and he's done it on wallabies. He's done his own self, and then he found out his calculations were wrong. So he's re-gone in and done it again.
Yeah.
So because that's he's looking for perfection, and everyone, when you talk about Rusty and the work he does and how much he's putting tens of thousands of dollars into this, and to find, he's got recordings of barking and tree breaks and everything, and he's got some of the best recordings and the best videos. So if you want to look up YouTube and you want to look up the professional videos that are done by a researcher, the Rusty 222. So look up his videos, and you'll learn something. I've learned a lot from Rusty. So, I know that them recordings from the Cox's River, after looking at what Rusty has shown us, and I did send him the recording, and it comes up with how heavy and how high this creature was. Yeah. And so I've learnt that there's another trail that goes into that area, the Cox's River. It's only 9 k's of punishment to get there. So we're going to go in there, probably not with the documentary, probably just myself and maybe another researcher. And we're going to go in there, and you've got to go in via the Megalong Valley, and then you drive all the way through, and then you park your car, and then you walk through the 9 k's, and 9 k's is nothing after you've done 5 k's. So,
absolutely.
So that's one of my best recordings I've got lately. But I've got, like I've said, howls, I've got wood knocks, I've got rock clacking, I've got mouth clicking, finger clicking, I've got everything that you can get. I've got tree getting pulled apart. I've got, everything that you can get other than filming one directly right in front of me. Yeah. I've had everything happen to me. I've been herded out by him. I've had him making noises all around me, being by myself in the tent. In the middle of the Blue Mountains, sometimes thinking, why am I doing this?
Absolutely.
And then you get your sound recorder. What we do, we get the sound recorders. We'll put the sound recorder, attach it to the parabolic dish, so that whatever the parabolic dish picks up that you can't hear by your own ears, it picks up in digital recording, and then you play it back, and you can make it a bit louder or softer or clean it up. Yeah. Or we'll leave them out, and I put batteries in them and just put a power pack. And sometimes when you get a power pack, you've got to get one that actually will that will keep giving power, because some of the power packs will stop after a certain time and stop giving power, so your sound recorder won't last 6 or 7 nights. That's what you want. You at least want a week. So that's what I do. If I want to search a new area, I'll stick a sound recorder there and see if I get something. So I might put it on for a week, and then I might leave it a week or two or a month, and I'll go back there maybe after it's rained and see if I get something. Yeah. And if I do get something, that's when I'll say, all right, let's go there. There's something there. Because I'll say one thing about Glenbrook at the moment, there's nothing there. I've been doing night walks there. I've set up some trail cameras. I've set up sound recordings. I've got nothing. When I was in 2013, it rained a lot, and I got all my stuff then at 2013. But going back to the documentary track, I'm not sure if it's going to come out the end of this year or the start of next year, but it's going to be a very interesting and well-made documentary about real people who actually go out and do this. And we haven't got a big, a lot of people doing it. So when I go out, it's probably me, one researcher, and Attila, and another person helping him film and ask questions. So there's maybe 3 or 4 of us out there. And what we have found, when you go out in big groups of more than maybe 3 or 4 people, you don't get the results. I've been out there with our group. We get out with maybe 8 people. You get nothing. It's just quiet. I think the Yowies just know there's a group of people there, and they just get scared off for some reason. Yeah. I think they're more intrigued if you're there with maybe by yourself or one other person, and then that's when you get the action. And you just got to do these things professionally. You got to, when you start putting all your evidence on YouTube, you say, all right, this is what I filmed, or this is the photo I took. I actually saw this. Now you go back there at a later date. It could be the next day, or it could be the next week, hopefully the same conditions, and you take a photo from the same area, and you say, hey, it looks the same. So I'm going to go over there, and sometimes it's like it's a fallen down tree or a log or a burnt stump, and it's got that kind of head shoulder shape. Yes. So that's what we're trying to do to all the people that are into it, researching, that are new, saying, hey, if you get a photo, just don't get a photo and stick it up on the YouTube or on the forum and say, hey, what do you guys think of this? Of course people are going to say, hey, where's the backup? Where were you? How far were you away? Did you see this when you took the photo? Or did you just take 50 photos and come back and go, hey, there's something there? That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get everyone on the same page, because if you don't do this thing right, everyone's going to, think that you're just a bunch of lunatics and you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. Because everyone's just a normal, everyday person to go out there and research an animal that's not supposed to be there, but they're getting results. If you do this thing properly, you want to get the right results and show the right information, and take a little bit of time to show everyone why you took the photo and why you went back there, and shown what, the differences were. So, that's what we try to tell people, say, there's a lot of hoaxes out there. We see them all the time. You can tell them they've got ghillie suits on. When you look at the video of Paddy, you can see the muscles actually moving under the hair. And they've actually come, when they made the actual video into the digital recording. Yep. You could see, that's when they said, you can see it's got breasts. Yep. So in 1967, when it was made, I think it was in July or something. Yep. In 1967, why are they thinking of making breasts on it? And then you can see the quads and everything, and its legs like bulging as it's moving, and it's moving like it's crouching. It hasn't got the same gait as a human. Yep. And I know people have put their hand up and said, hey, I did this, I did that, but everyone wants their 5 minutes of fame. And the Gimlin, he's still alive, and Bob Gimlin, and he seems like an honest guy to me. He's just out there saying, hey, this is what we filmed. Yep. And that's it, And we went out there, we went searching for it, and we found it. And back in the 1950s, who was searching for them? In the 1960s, no one. There was, I know a couple of people have come out and said, hey, my dad made hoaxes about Bigfoot and all that. But these stories, as you said, are going back hundreds and thousands of years all over the world. So, it's get out there, do the research, do it properly, take a bit of time to find out if there's any kind of trees or anything that's doing it. Because either pareidolia, it runs rife in the Bigfoot Yowie scene. It's like people take a photo, the trick of light. Because you've got to remember, your brain is hardwired to see faces to protect yourself from like an animal trying to attack you. Yeah, so it'll try and find faces in shadows, in light, in different little trees and branches that are kind of overlapping each other, and it might look like eyeballs or something looking at you, and it might look like a nose.
Yep.
And people quickly, come to the conclusion, oh, look, I got a yowie. But, after you zoom in, you can see sometimes it's like a broken fern, and it looks furry because that's what the tree trunks on the big tall ferns here, they're furry, and they might have a little bit of a branch going over here and there, and it looks like a nose and the eyes.
Yep.
But that's why we try to educate people and try to, hey, you've got to do some follow-up research. Follow-up research is the key to get there and find out that what you're taking isn't a bush or a trick of light. So that's, the Yowie Times has talk about pareidolia. I've written a couple of about that to say, hey, just don't take 50 photos, walk through the bush and put red circles there and say, hey, what do you think of this? I shake my head. I'm just going, no, this is nothing. But look, I look into them all. Some of them are interesting. We just say to them, hey, go back and do a follow-up. Yep. But sometimes the people that take the photos, they're too scared to go back to them areas.
Yeah.
Because, look, I've got friends that know, like, I didn't tell people I was into Yowies, but I kind of come out. I got a shirt, it's got Yowie on it, Bigfoot and everything. And I went there one day. I didn't even realise I had it on. And they're like, oh, are you into them? I'm going, yeah, I've been researching this for ages. So now everyone knows I'm into Yowies. And they're like, oh, they're not real. And I go, well, come out with me in the dark. We'll go in the middle of the Blue Mountains and go, research. And, oh, no, wait, I'm not going out there. I'm like, what? You're scared? You're scared of a creature that's not supposed to be there? And I start laughing at them. So they all laugh at me. And even, I don't care. That's my interest, and that's what I love doing. And look, if I never find one, I never come face to face with one again, or a big one, or have a really strange encounter where, I'm not 100% sure, that they're there after I've seen a small one. I haven't seen a big one face to face, but I've met so many great people that I wouldn't have met as an adult. Yeah. We go out, we have fun. We get to spend time in the Australian bush. Like, not a lot of people go out and spend time camping in the bush. We tell stories. We have fun. Everyone has their accounts, and everyone's got their own little mannerisms and how they do things. And we have a joke and laugh about things. And, if we don't find a Yowie, well, we've had a really good time doing it anyway. So it's something that I'm passionate about, and something that, like Dean Harrison said to me not long ago, once it's in your blood, you're never going to shake it. You're always going to be into the Yowies. It's like someone that's a racehorse trainer. Even if they leave the game, they're always going to watch the races on TV. Yeah. It's in their blood, So, so hopefully the next few months, because we're filming all through the year on track, hopefully we just keep on getting more and more encounters. They actually come close. We've got a few things that we're going to do to try and bring them in. Yep. Everyone's got their little gimmicks. Some people say use mangoes. Some people say use corn. And they're all got their different things. Some people have even left out radios and had left the radio going in the middle of the bush for 2 or 3 days and had a trail camera pointing at it. So everyone's got their little ways of doing things. So we're going to try a few things and see what we get. But Track's going to be an interesting documentary. I'm already, I just seen the trailer of me and Roger walking through the bush there, and we got some really good video of a lot of fog and that in the area, and it looks prehistoric. And I was like, wow, that's a great picture of Tiller. This is going to be awesome. I'm glad he's making it, because he's a person that's likes to go into detail. He just doesn't go, yeah, that's good enough. It's always like, all right, we filmed that, but no, we can do this better, And he's come to me because he knows I've got a lot of I've done a lot of research. I've got a lot of encounters. I've got a lot of findings. I've got a lot of sound recordings. And he's like, yeah, you're my man, and that's it. Let's go in and let's see what we can get. So it's going to be a great first-hand accounts of people that are going in there, going in the field, and this is what we're getting. This is the results that we're getting. If we get something or not, because you know what, a lot of people will put, not a lot, I'll say there's some people on the internet, on YouTube, that every week they're putting out 3 or 4 videos. Hey, I come across a Yowie. Look at this. Look at this. Look at what I've got. I've got eye shine. I've got this. I've got that. I'll go out 10 times and I might come across something interesting once out of that night, out of 10 times. It's just you just don't come across them every day, because if you did, everyone would have a video of a Yowie.
Absolutely.
So you got to be truthful to yourself and just not try and con people. You've got to you get there and say, hey, this is what I've got. This is where I got it. This is the camera I used. This is how far it was from me. This is how high it's estimated. Like Rusty gets there and he's got laser trackers to track it. He's got actually really good video, and you can see this face come out in the video, and it's really interesting video. It's awesome. Yeah. So that's the stuff that we want to get on this video, on this documentary track.
Absolutely. I think it's long overdue as well, Dan, because there are documentaries about all kinds of subjects. You can find them on YouTube, and for me, the one creature that's really underrepresented online. Obviously, I know you've got the Yowie Hunters channel on YouTube, and you've mentioned Rusty's channel. But there's documentaries galore about lake monsters, Bigfoot, Sasquatch. There's nothing that you can sort of sit down and watch in depth in regards to Yowie and the history of it. So when I heard that they were making a film about it, I just thought, well, fantastic! It's long overdue.
Yes, that's what I think.
It needs to be done.
Yes,
because the amount of sightings that have come, the history and everything, it deserves a documentary solely focused on looking at the experiences, the witnesses, and going in depth to say, yes, we've got something here. What do you think?
Yeah, because everyone's got their own idea about what a Yowie is. Everyone says, look, it could be branched off from archaic humans, Denisovans, Neanderthals, or branched off from us, or could be on its own tree altogether. So what I saw, all I can go on was what I seen with the small one. It had like short hair, maybe about 2 inches long, and it was all wet. So it was either chocolate brown or black, which is two of the colours. It's either like a grey, you get the orangutan kind of orangey brown colour, or you get like a chocolate brown, or you get the black.
Yeah.
So you got different kinds of them. So this one was, I could say like a dark chocolate brown or a black. It was small, but what was interesting to me was the hair went around its whole face. There was no hair on its face.
Yeah.
So it was all, and it had a bluey grey face. And like I said, I actually been in another Yowie film. It's if you go onto a Facebook page called Must Go Faster.
Yep.
It's on there. It's by Samuel Hutchinson, and he filmed that. It goes for about 12 minutes. It went around the world in like indie festivals, short film festivals. So all the researchers that I go out with are all in it. My wife's in it, and just how it's got a few funny things in it. It was really well made, and I'm glad that we did that. But it's just going back to the face of this animal, what I think it is, or creature, is it didn't have any wrinkles in its face. Like I said, it was like it had plastic surgery and it had no wrinkles in its face. And its nose was kind of like apish, but it was kind of straight like a human, like broad nose, but it was flared down near its nostrils. And its little lips, like little petite lips, no big lips like big bottom lip, they were little petite. Its ears were little, and it just had, the hair was going around its chin line. All its neck was hair, so around its chin, around its ears, it was a bluey grey face. And like I saw it for probably 20 seconds, and then it was gone. So what I seen, it could be a mixture of like the kind of evolution of a human with still some traits, facial traits of an ape.
Yep.
And of course it's got hair all down its body, and that's what everyone says, that it's got hair and its shoulders are broad. And its head sits in its shoulders, so it's got no neck. And sometimes you get the odd account where you said the Yowie actually looks sickly, like it's skinny, but it's really tall. But it looks like it should have been a big kind of creature, big, thick, like a big bouncer outside of a nightclub.
Yeah.
But it's skinny, like it's got something wrong with it.
Yeah.
So there has been reports of that happening as well. So the reports on the Yowie Hunters YouTube channel, they're all audio reports of people just coming across. Just recently, there was one guy driving in Queensland, and the Yowie was in the road, and he had like a Mack truck, and this thing was going over the bonnet, and it slammed his bonnet and ran across the road. And he just told his wife, and she was laughing at him, but he rang up and got in contact with Dean and said, "I want to tell my story." People want to get this off their chest. That's what they want to do, because they don't know what it is and they want to find an answer. That's why I started researching. I had an encounter, something like had a 10, 15 metre gum tree, nearly ripped the thing out of the ground. And I go, I want to find out what this thing is. That's what it is. I want an answer. And if I don't find one in my lifetime, like I said, I've had a lot of fun. I've met a lot of great people, and you don't really meet a lot of friends when you're an adult. You usually make all your friends when you're a kid. But I've got that many friends or people I know from all over the world, and they say, hey, Dan, when I come into Australia, I want to come searching with you. Like John, Adam Davis, he said, go meet Dan. John, he'll look after you. So before we went on that hike, he was telling me he used to be in the army, etc. And I knew, all right, I'll take you through Glenbrook. And we went up the ridge, and I took him through a bit of a hard hike to see how good he was. And he kept up with me. And I went, yes, sweet, if you want to come on that big 55K hike, all means, come with me. And he goes, I've done that easy. I was in the army. Yeah. That's easy for me. So, but we want to find out what it is. That's all it is. And we're not stupid. There's a lot of people that are like really intelligent. There's some guys that are like a CSIRO guys that are scientists. There's the guys that are engineers. They've got backgrounds and they've got degrees, and they've had encounters, and they come out and say, hey, we want to find out what it is too. So it's just not the average Joe Blow walking around there. But it does take you a lot of years to refine what you're doing. I know it took me like 4 or 5 years before I really got into it, and I asked questions to Ray Doherty, to Rusty, to Dave Reed down in Canberra. These guys were doing it a few years before I got into it, and I would just ask questions and look what they were doing, and look what equipment they were using. And I virtually just went along the lines of what they were doing, and then I kind of find out my own way, because everyone has their own way of doing things. Everyone's got a different bank account to what they can buy. So a lot of times you see people videotaping these creatures, and the camera is not really that good. You zoom in, and the camera struggles to be a clear picture when you've got it zoomed in all the way. Yeah. So my latest camera I bought. This is the one I bought. It's a Sony. I think it's a FDR AX53. It's a 4K camera. It's like a $1,400 camera. I'm lucky I got about 30% discount. It was the sales. Yep. And what I looked in was a camera that was a 4K camera, which is crystal clear, and it's got a stability onto it. So if you're walking around, it's pretty stable. Yep. So you can walk and still keep a good picture that's stable. Plus, I wanted a good battery. So if I'm out in the middle of the bush for 2 or 3 days, the battery, and plus I can charge it with a power pack. Yep. Plus the zoom. If you zoom in all the way, it's got 30 times zoom. If I zoom in all the way 30 times, I want that picture to still be clear. So that's what I look for. The key things is a good clear picture, the best zoom you can get, and a good battery life. So when you get out there, you're not using your mobile phone and it's like 5 years old and it's struggling to pick up what you're seeing, So that's what you got to try and get the best equipment as you can, but you got to have, the pocket to buy like a thermal camera. The one that Simon Young lends me, it's like nearly $4,000. Yeah. And it's actually better than the FLIR, because this one here, you can get you update an app, upload it, and you connect it to the thermal by Wi-Fi, and you can not even have to look at the thermal camera. You can just point it around, and you record it and watch it on your phone or your iPad. So you can record it that way, and then you go back, connect it to your computer, and upload everything off your iPad or phone. Brilliant. So it's the equipment that you use, like the parabolic dish for a digital sound recorder. I've got a Sony Note Taker, which is really crystal clear. You can set it. I usually set it to like lecturing, so like someone's speaking far away, like if you're in the back row in a university, you can hear him crystal clear. So I get the best results on that. And it's trial and error. When you do sound recordings, the best thing to do is just leave it like in your yard, and leave it in the bush so no one can see it. Record the cars going past and set it in different settings to see which one's better for you, which one you find is better. So I see equipment as well. It's if you've got good equipment, and you're going to get better results with, because you could hear the best wood knocks and then not even have a sound recording out and say, hey, I heard these fantastic wood knocks, we've got to go there, and everyone's going to go, did you record it? Oh, no, I haven't got a sound recorder. But you can get good ones off the eBay for like $20 or $40. Yeah. And guys who get good results with the sound recorders. You just put them in like a little something to cover them. Sometimes I just put them on like a rock put like a big bit of bark over it, and so the sound's not getting muffled by anything. And I've had good results doing that. So it's trial and error with what you want to do, and everyone's got a different way of doing things. But basically, if you want to learn how to do things really good, look at Rusty, the Rusty 222s channels. I'm still looking at them up to this day and asking Rusty sometimes about different things. But the AYR forum, people kind of get there sometimes that have been found out to be, faking things. They call it, oh, this is the Yowie police. It's not the Yowie police. It's just that we've seen everything before. We've seen the fake videos. We've seen the fake videos with fake sound recordings overlapped on them. And there's people that are in like Attila and that. They're in there. They know what an overlap recording of sound on a video sounds like. And they go, you can hear the noise and stuff. We just want to get the truth. We don't want to get stuffed around with people lying and it's just to get a bit of fame.
Yeah.
I wasn't out there to get any fame. I just kind of called myself Yowie Dan because I'm like, what am I going to make me name? My name's Dan. Yowie Dan, that'll do. So that's why I named myself Yowie Dan. And it's just like I decided to write the Yowie Times and get people interested and get people to write for it. So I thought, like you said, we didn't have a magazine for us to look at and read. Some people haven't got time or anything to get on YouTube, and a lot of people, I get there and say, hey, when I get the Yowie Times, I read it, every second or third day at my lunch break.
Yeah.
And I've got a Yowie finder word, and it'll just be like tent, night vision, trail, Yowie, and you've got to circle them, find a word, or sometimes I'll have a crossword, ask a question like, what's a famous researcher in America, or, it might be like, Jeff Meldrum or something like that. So that's in there. So it breaks up. It just, it makes it a bit of fun for something to do. But, just go out, research, have fun doing it, but try to be as professional as you can so everyone can go, hey, all right, ask questions. And when they ask questions, you got the answers for the questions that they're asking. Yeah. And there's some guys out there that are that smart and they ask you a really articulate question. And if you haven't got the evidence to back you up, you start looking like a fool.
Yeah.
That's the last thing. That's the last thing we want. We want everyone to take us seriously because we take it seriously. I know what I heard. I know what I've seen, and I want to find out what it is. And if it just ends up being some sort of creature that we haven't, we haven't got, scientists haven't got it written down in a book as it's real. Well, if I don't find it, someone else might, but someone else might learn from what I'm doing and then do the research better than me in 50 or 100 years' time, and eventually we find out it's another kangaroo or something, but it's got a different shaped head. But you look at like the pandas and that, they're only found not long ago, like 100 years ago, and look at Jane Goodall, what she was doing with the gorillas up in the mountains. They weren't known. They were just there's a big creature up there, so they went looking for it and found it. And then you got the billy ape. That's only been found not long ago. So you still got creatures getting found. When I wrote an article about the rock apes in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Anyway, there was a guy there. I think his name was Don McKinnon. It was in the 1970s, and he found 10 or 20 different new animals while he was out there looking for the rock ape or a Yowie type creature. Because he was getting, the Vietnam vets were going, hey, we've seen these things in their helicopters running around, and they weren't Viet Cong, and even the Viet Cong's generals have sent soldiers into the bush trying to look for them.
Yeah.
So it was coming from both sides. It wasn't just one side. They've all got stories that they come across them, and they thought it was the opposition, so they fired their guns at it and found nothing.
Yeah.
So it's an intriguing and really mysterious thing that is there really an ape out there? And that's what we're trying to find.
Absolutely. And I think, as with any form of science, Dan, you've just got to basically keep trying to investigate everything, but as you refer to, do it with integrity, because in this day and age of YouTube, it's very easy, and I'm not going to name names, but there are certain channels and certain people in the cryptozoological field whose evidence is suspect, to say the least. And like I say, I'm not going to point any fingers. I think most people who are into this subject know where we're going. I think for everybody, really, for anybody that's interested in this, regardless of whether you're in the States or in Australia or searching for things like the Yeren and the Almasty and especially the Orang Pendek, that you've just got to try and boots on the ground, use the technology you've got to, be honest, like you say, be suspicious of anybody that every time they go out they find something. It's like ghost hunt. Every time somebody goes ghost hunting, they connect with ghosts. When it happens all the time, that tends to suggest that isn't an experience. That's more of a performance, if you know what I mean. And I think the way you guys out there are doing it is, you're doing it collaboratively. You're working together. You're publishing your results. You don't care about ridicule because, when anybody talks about these kind of subjects, anybody that puts themselves forward, you're going to get skepticism, you're going to get ridicule from people, but it's about just ignoring that, focusing, move forward, and hopefully getting the proof that we all want, because everybody wants that. And I think it would be groundbreaking, whichever one gets found first, because I'm convinced one of them is. I tend to think it will be either the Orang Pendek or the Yowie that we finally prove first. Not that I think they're more believable, but I just think it just seems to be running in that kind of way that people are spending that much time and there's that much investigation going on. Something's going to happen sooner or later.
Yeah, and like the audio recordings of the people that are on the Yowie Hunters YouTube channel, you can hear it in the voices. Oh. They know what they saw. And look, you grow up in any country, you know what the animals look like. And some people live like you look at the people that live in the Blue Mountains. They come across the wombats walking through, and there's echidnas, and there's different types of wallabies, and there's the odd grey roo and the odd koala. They know what they are. But when you got Neil Frost, he lives up in the Blue Mountains, and he was up there saying, yeah, these yowies there, they're in my backyard. You can go down anyone in this street, I won't say what suburb he's in, and they'll tell you they've had an encounter with a yowie. And the funny thing was, I've heard a story from a fellow researcher who says, I went to a party at right near his place. Anyway, he goes, I kind of asked one of the guys, I said, hey, do you get yowies here? He goes, yeah, we get the goon bags. You know what a goon bag is? It's like a wine casket, the silver, the bladder. Yeah. He goes, we get them, blow them up in the air, and we tie them up to the tree. He goes, they come up and grab the goon bags, and then you hear these boom, they blow them up in the bush. So that's one thing I heard is goon bags attract them. So we'll probably get a cheap flag and a wine, we'll have a bit of it, and then we'll go out and we'll put the goon bag up. That was a hilarious story, and I said, I'll have to try that. Brilliant. And he was adamant. This guy said, yeah, we put them up. He goes, I'll put one up now, and I'll show you. One will turn up in 20 minutes, half an hour, and they'll get the goon bag and run away. And he's like, but they were going to do it. And then, anyway, the story, they were talking about something else and got off it, but never actually happened. But but anyone in that whole area, and you can see Neil Frost talking on YouTube. I think it's like there's like a ABC program, and they kind of made him try to look like he was a bit of a, he didn't know what he was talking about. Yeah. And he was a school teacher. And he told me this really funny story. There was a young boy that used to go to his school and would go off at him and says, you're just, you're full of it. You're telling lies, blah, 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 and giving it to him. He was one of those kids that is always in trouble. Anyway, he goes, this kid turns up about 10 o'clock one night, knocking on the door, and he says, Mr. Frost, you're telling the truth. I thought you were full of shit. And he's like, what? He goes, without the back there, so-and-so, letting off me. He had sticks of bloody TNT. He was blowing up things. Right. And he said he's blowing up things. Next minute he turns around and there's this big yowie standing near him. And this guy was like, for years and years, like giving Neil heaps. And he said he come up and he was like shaking and everything. And he told him what he's doing. He's going, well, I told you they were real. Yeah. He goes, you can ask anyone in my street. And that was a funny story to hear. This guy's out there with jet at night or bombs blowing up things. Next minute, he turns around and there's this big 8 or 10 foot yowie standing there, like within metres of him. And he was standing face to face with it. And he said he couldn't get to Neil's place quick enough to tell him that he was telling him the truth. That was the first thought on his mind. Yeah. And he woke him up at night, out of bed, to tell him
Well, I'm going to say, if something stops you doing that kind of behaviour, I think he'd probably come round to say, what on earth do you think you're doing in my neighbourhood?
I think anyone. Look, I think if that was a person, they wouldn't be going anywhere near someone blowing things up.
No.
You don't know what they're thinking about, what's going on. You don't know what could hit you, shrapnel or anything from a broken tree or something. You don't know what he's doing. Yeah. You just be going, I'm going the other way. Like I've been out where in the mountains and other regions where it's like a state forest, and people been shooting guns, and you've just got to, all right, we've got to get out of here because they don't know where you are. And look, if someone's there shooting a gun, we're not going to find nothing, so just go somewhere else. And it's for safety. You don't want to go out and get your head blown off.
No, absolutely.
So it's a creature that we all want to find out that it's there. But then again, some people always ask me a question: if you got a video and everyone can tell it's a Yowie, it's like 2 or 3 meters from you, there's no chance it's in a ghillie suit or it's in some sort of ape suit, would you bring it out and say, hey, here's the world, I've got it? And I said, look, I don't know. I might just keep it to myself and a few fellow researchers and say, hey, look, I finally found it. I don't need the research no more, but I'm not going to put it out in the open. I don't know. If we got that video during the documentary, well, then the documentary comes out and then it's proved. But even if we do prove it and say, here, it's there, look, if we get one video of it or one something, how long it's taken to get that? So it's not like you're going to go out with a gun the next day and say, yeah, I'm going to shoot one. Yeah. But, you look in America, everyone's got a gun. In Australia, we had the big buyback scheme after the Port Arthur massacre back in the 1990s, and you very rarely hear of people. The drive-by shootings are all the gangs. Yeah. And it's very rare anyway. And they'll shoot up one enemy's house, put 4 or 5 bullets, and that's it. But the only other time you'll hear of someone getting shot is when there's been a bit of a mishap and it's in the country. Yeah. And the farmers need the guns for to shoot the feral, the foxes, the feral cats, the wild dogs and stuff like that. So it's more for protection and keep their livestock alive. So the odd time you'll hear of like a young kid's got into the locker, found the key, opened up the gun and said, hey, to his mate. Like one kid not long ago, maybe a year or two, said to his mate, look, this is my dad's gun. Bang, shot him dead. Shot his mate dead. And because, then the old man should have had the gun not loaded. Yeah. And it should have been in a locker, and the bullet should have been somewhere else, and the key should be nowhere near where a kid could get it. And so I don't know, I can't remember what happened, but I think maybe the father went to jail or was fined massively. But unfortunately, he was a young boy that was dead. But see, the guns aren't here. Like you got the guy in New Zealand. They did the shootings, but he got all the guns over there. Yep. So they've just recently got rid of all the automatic weapons, and they're trying to do a buyback scheme. So. New Zealand's not a place where you hear of shootings. No, not at all.
I think that's what was so shocking about it, Dan.
Yeah, I know. We were shocked here too. It was like, geez, and it was on Facebook Live, and I've seen it. And it's just like, it just looks like they're playing Fortnite or something. It was like playing a Ghost Recon or something. I was like, it's horrible. Whoa, what's this all coming to? So anyway. Get back to Yowies. Yeah. So it's safer being near a Yowie. At least they won't shoot you.
Absolutely. So then, just to cover everything up then. So where can everybody sign up for your work? Get on subscribing to the Yowie Times and follow the film and the development of that then, Dan.
Well, the Yowie Times is on the Facebook. So if you just write in Yowie Times and ask to join, it's basically me. Sometimes asking, I need a witness report, or if you've got a witness report. You can, or any kind of evidence, or if you've got a photo, or you want to write an article, or you want to write a monthly article, even if you're from overseas. I've got some Americans writing some articles when they do their research on Bigfoot, and I do like a researcher of the month. And if you want to answer the 10 questions, like why did you researching Yowies and what do you think a Yowie is? It's always the same questions every month. So people from, very new to the Yowie thing, or I've been researching Yowies a long time. I've had Rusty, Ray, Dave. I've had a lot of guys that are well known doing research of the month, and guys that people never heard of. So on the Facebook, just look up Yowie Times. You can ask to just. There's no research. If you've got your own research, it's not a research group. It's just to get articles and talk about the Yowie Times and what's coming up and how it's going and advertise it. But if you want to subscribe, get on to Australian Yowie, one word. Yeah, so if you subscribe to the Yowie Times, it's Australian Yowie, lowercase, all one word, @gmail.com. And then I will send you links and add you to the subscribers list. I've got one article, I've got one issue there which has got all the previous links in it. It's called Back Issues. You just click on the link, it'll upload it through Google Drive.
Yep.
I email them out on the 7th of each month. If you've got an article you want to write, just a one-off one, or if you want to write a monthly article, you can put forward what you want to do. You send it to me in Word format, and I make up the page and everything, and I'll show it to you before it comes out, and you can read it and say, I want to add this to it, or I don't like how this is done. I want the pictures to be like this. Most of the pictures I've taken in the Blue Mountains and around researching, and I put them in the background or etc. So so the Yowie Times has been going for a couple of years now. I've got the same passion that I've had when I first started it. It's always good when people are like, a couple of the article writers really get a buzz when they get people saying, hey, they really enjoyed shooting the tube. Oh, tips and techniques was really good, or off the trail with Dave was really good. I never knew that. So it's just trying about informing people about this creature that's not supposed to be there. But the people that I've talked to, and face to face, you can see in their like the expressions, their mannerisms. Some of them get tears in their eyes when they start talking about it. They've had a real life experience. It's not fake. They just want to get it out. But some people want to stay anonymous. If you want to write a witness report, you just write what you've seen, what you heard. Some people write, hey, we only heard this, but we didn't see nothing. But this seemed a bit odd. So we get reports where people have seen it or heard it or something happened. Like I had a report where Dean sent me an email for a guy, and it was at Glenbrook, but the north side of Glenbrook, where all my stuff was on the south. Mm-hmm. He said he jogs in this area, and he said, I told my girlfriend and mates I seen a Yowie. Because he goes, I was walking around this track, and he goes, I kind of warmed up, and he goes, there was an opening there. He goes, there's a few homeless people that live in the area. He goes, but this thing was jet black, and it ran up the ridge like 50 metres, like straight up like a 45-degree angle, and took like 10 strides and got to the top in a matter of seconds. And he said, there's no human that can do that, especially some homeless guy that's been drinking scotch all night. Yep. He's like, no way. And he's like, I talked to him on the phone, and he was going to show me the area, but we just haven't got around it to seeing it. But he wrote a report and just said, I just want to stay anonymous. Yeah. But it's what a lot of people don't want to face the ridicule. They want to they want to listen to talk to someone that will say, hey, that's an interesting thing. This is why, because I've had this happen to me too. Mm. So that's what the Yowie Times is all about. It's all about just getting information out, talking about how to be safe while you're out in the bush. Because Australia is very dangerous. We've got you look at the top 20 snakes in the world, we've got like 18 of them. Yeah. And we've got like the top 10 snakes, and you don't get anywhere quickly, you're in trouble. We've got like scorpions that'll make you really sick. We've got the most dangerous spider in the world, and a couple of others that are bad. Plus you might break your ankle when you're going hiking and you're by yourself. It's always good to be with at least one other person, because in the Blue Mountains, you very rarely get good phone reception. Yep. Because there's one spot that we go to in Springwood, and we've got to walk like a kilometre up the trail to get phone reception to say to our wives, hey, we're okay, we're all good, and then that's it. So we went on the hike, on the 55k hike, and we had like a satellite kind of phone, or that you can ring up through the satellite, so they could say that we're okay, because that's how harsh. I say to people, if you're going to do a big hike like that one, do what I did. I did a lot of hikes that were like 26-kilometre hikes up and down the ridge for a whole day. Yeah. I did an 18-kilometre one. I got the K's under my legs and got my body fit, because I knew I had to carry like a certain amount of weight. If you're going to do this hike, it's equivalent to me of doing the Kokoda Trail. Yeah. Especially if it rains, it's hard enough without it raining. Mm. And there's only water in free areas, so you've got to take the right equipment. And, you got to go in a group, not by yourself. And just do your research as well, because there's a lot of dangers other than animals you could hurt yourself by. You can some of the trails in that Kananga to Katoomba are really dangerous. Yeah. And we were getting to spots at night. We got there at night because we were going, we have to get here because this is the only place we can camp. because everywhere's filled with rocks. We've got to get to this campsite because it's the only place we can put our tents up. And but yeah, going back to the Yowie Times, it's been going for a few years, and I enjoy doing it. And the guys that have been writing most of the articles have been doing it since nearly the start.
Yeah.
Only a few articles. So I asked them, I said, look, I can't write them on myself. A lot of you guys have got more expertise in a certain area. So, someone might have expertise in cameras because that's their passion. Some are like sound equipment. Some are like they've been in the bush and they've been doing it, growing up, and their father taught them how to survive in the bush, and stuff like that, and bush foods. And I try to make it interesting and trying to do a wide range of things, not just solely on the Yowie and that's it. So that's why I've put like a creepy cryptids. Yep. So it mostly has your little orang pendek. I've done, other ones that are around, the Masty and all that kind of stuff. Yep. But I'll do a weird one like there was one that was like the capre, which is I think from the Philippines. Yep. I never heard of that. My wife's Filipino and she told me about it. I'm like, capre? Geez, I've never heard of that one. There's another one. So every country's got their cryptid. So I try to make it interesting, and I've had a few Researcher of the Month from America, a few articles from different people from different Facebook groups, Pennsylvania Bigfoot groups, the Watchers. There's a couple of people writing different things that's happening in their part of the world. But we just try to keep it interesting. I'm just going to try and keep it going as long as I can. I can't do it all myself. That's why I need people that I know that are knowledgeable and going to make the articles interesting. So people subscribe, keep on coming back and saying, hey, this is awesome, And if anyone gets any kind of like evidence, like a footprint or a bit of hair or anything, broken tree, writing, sending emails and say, hey, this is my Yowie or Bigfoot evidence, and I'll put it on in an article. But we haven't had much evidence coming in lately. Some people want to keep it to themselves and don't want to get it out. They'll show me, but can you not put it in the Yowie Times because I don't want to let anyone know I'm into this. A lot of people, in that way. But so other than that, I'm doing the documentary track as we talked about, and that's going really well, and that's keeping us on our toes. And the Yowie Times, look, I do it every month. I need people to keep on sending in articles. And if anyone wants to write an article, I'm always looking for them. I'm always asking for more articles because like I said, it's like some people can get out and do some research and they'll talk about their research, but then again, for some reason, because of work or sickness in the family, they can't get out. So some of the articles come in and out. It's not always a set article. So there's always a one-off kind of thing. So and just I've got like 360 subscribers. Some months I'll get like 20. And then some months I'll get one or two, and some months I won't get any. Yeah. So it's not about that. It's just about, writing a decent magazine that people can get online and for free. Yep. I'm not a professional, so I'm not asking any money for it. I'm doing what I like, is Yowie researching. Because I'm like many Yowie researchers out there, just trying to find the truth of what this thing is,
Absolutely.
If I bring it out into the open or not. If I disappeared, you'd probably find out that. Probably know that, hey, he found it.
Yeah. Well, on that sad note, Dan, listen, thank you so much for today. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. It's been eye-opening and fascinating. Come back and see us when the film's released later this year, hopefully, and we'll have a chat about that. I recommend anybody sign up for the Yowie Times. It's a great read. I enjoy pulling through it every month. So thank you once again for your time today. All the very best.
Yeah, thanks. One thing I will ask, maybe you can write an article, Paul.
I think I will.
If you want to write an article, even if it's a one or two pager about anything, you can just email it to me and I'll put it on and just make up a name. And if you want to, if you've got time, that's what it is. It's all about time. But anyway, this has been an excellent chat. I've really thoroughly enjoyed it. And hopefully it's just to try and get people to understand that, look, we're real people out there. We're trying to just find Yowie. We're not stupid. We're not crazy. We're just trying to go out there, find it, and we're having fun, and we've made a lot of good friends. Brilliant. And everyone, and like Dean Harrison said, once it's in your blood, it's never going to leave. And like my wife, when she met me and I said, look, I'm into Yowies, and she's like, what's that? I said, she goes, when I told her, she goes, "Oh yeah, we got one in the Philippines,
Yeah.
a capre." And I go, "Yeah, they're all over the world." She's like, "Oh yeah," and she likes coming out because she liked doing like bushwalking in the Philippines and stuff.
Yeah.
But there's one or two places where she said she won't go again because it no.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen. All the very best. You stay safe out there.
I will do.
Good luck with the documentary, and we will speak to you later in the year. You take care, Dan. Thanks for your time today.
Thanks very much, and hopefully someone gets that perfect picture of a yowie and can all say, yes, it's true to science.
Oh, we can't wait. Fingers crossed.
See you, mate.
Take care. Thanks again, Dan.
Thanks, Paul. Bye.
Bye.